Happy holidays, everybody, and welcome
to Revenge.
Now, we have all, I'm sure, suffered many grievances at the appendages of Leviathans in Subnautica, and many a lost seamoth can attest to that. But today is the day when we fight back. I'll be trying to kill every single hostile Leviathan in the entire Subnautica map. But rather than doing it like a normal person might, with perhaps a prawn suit or maybe even a seamoth with some torpedoes, I'll be trying to do it without any vehicles at all. Can I do it? Well, let's find out. It began, as you might expect, with a game of survival. Jumped out into the safe shallows, gathered some resources, and made myself an O2 tank. Right away, I also made a survival knife, and all the other stuff like fins, water, a battery, and perhaps even a scanner. Here I murdered some crash fish for their cave sulfur, and yes, by the way, if you swim right into them, you can kill them before they explode. And with that, I had a repair tool and a repaired life pod. I quickly crafted an air bladder, something I absolutely love using in my playthroughs these days, and I started looking around for some scannable items, such as the laser cutter. Now, I started scanning the mobile vehicle bay, and then I realized that I wouldn't really be needing it. But here you can also see a nice use of the air bladder. It gives you way more wiggle room to stay down until the last second. I quickly crafted a high-capacity O2 tank, as well as a flashlight, because I would have no sea glide to use. And of course, the rebreather. Even though I wouldn't be diving that deep just yet, it would be nice to have. I made myself another high-capacity O2 tank just to have that extra wiggle room with oxygen, and then I went down to one of the wrecks in the grassy plateaus to look for some blueprints. But disappointingly, it did not have much of what I wanted. I did, however, find some fragments for the bioreactor, which would be essential for the endgame of this challenge. Then I decided to swim to the floating island to look for Officer Keen's life pod. Not only that, but there is also another wreck nearby, which I figured might as well hold something useful for me. Sure enough, I was able to find life pod 19, and next to it, what I was really looking for, the ultra high capacity tank blueprint. While down here, I also looked around for some useful resources such as lithium. Since I was already there, I stopped by the island to eat some lantern fruit, and of course, get a scan of the multi-purpose room. Back at base, I made myself the habitat builder, and with some resources, I started building a small base. This would be necessary for my modification station. One more hatch and one more solar panel, and we were in business. Honestly, all we would need. I was finally able to complete the laser cutter blueprint, which was awesome, and with some diamonds I had from earlier, I was able to build the thing. Awesome. With my new tool, I went to explore some more wrecks, get some scans for the propulsion cannon, an item I don't normally use, but one that would come in very handy this time. And of course, most importantly, scans for the modification station. I did also grab the battery charger, since I would be going through a very large number of batteries in this run, and I figured charging them would be easier than constantly crafting new ones. Back at base, I built myself said battery charger, and since the Aurora had exploded by now, I crafted myself the radiation suit. Now it was time to go fix the big ship. I wasn't quite ready to take on the Leviathans around it just yet, so I had to be super careful while sneaking my way in, making sure the Reapers did not get too touchy. Without much trouble though, I got on board. In case you're wondering about this jump, ever since they nerfed jumping in one of the latest updates, it is quite difficult to make it. It's still possible if you want an alternate method and don't mind getting a bit of fire damage. You can jump onto this ledge and simply drop down. You will get hurt a little bit, but if you carry a medkit, it should be no problem. I went about the reactor room fixing all of the cracks, and on my way back, I stopped by a wreck and finally completed the modification station blueprint. I went to a mushroom forest close to the front of the Aurora to gather a bunch of lithium and some diamonds. And with my new resources, I finally built the modification station. I quickly made myself the thermo blade on it for some extra damage, and of course the ultra high capacity tank for extra oxygen. I even made the ultra glide fins just to have that extra boost of speed, since again, no vehicles. With all of this, I did some more wreck diving, specifically looking for the stasis rifle. This one would be absolutely key to my Leviathan murder spree. And then for the final piece of the puzzle, I had to dive down into the jelly shroom caves and get myself some magnetite. With this, I had the stasis rifle ready. Now I also made myself a locker to store some additional resources, since my lifepod 1 was getting a wee bit full. Finally, I made myself the propulsion cannon. I wouldn't be using it right away, but it would come in very handy later. And now I was ready. Now, for a quick breakdown of my task, there is a total of 34 hostile leviathans in the Subnautica map. That is 25 reapers, 6 ghosts, and 3 dragons. Now, I decided to start with the reapers because they're very plentiful, they're easier to reach than the dragons, and they have less health than the ghosts. Now, for my first victim specifically, I picked this reaper by the mountain island, since I figured it is very easy to reach and it is alone enough to where no other leviathans should interfere. I wanted this one to be very simple, so I decided to go with nothing but a stasis rifle and a heat blade. Soon enough, I saw the roaring beast, so I decided to go back to the surface for some extra oxygen, and then it was time to fight. The reaper charged at me. As always, I charged up the stasis rifle and froze it in place. With that, I was able to swim around to its side and start hacking away, refreshing the stasis rifle bubble as I went. Now, if you're curious how long it actually takes to kill a reaper in this manner, well, a reaper has 5,000 health, and the heat blade will do 40 damage per hit. This gives you a total of 125 slices of the heat blade to kill a reaper. And so I chopped and I chopped, until at last, the Leviathan collapsed dead. As a victory trophy, I got myself a scan of the beast, and with it sinking into the darkness, I air bladdered to the surface. Now that took a fair bit of time, so for my future kills, I decided to make my fighting method a bit more efficient. And to do that, I would use gas pods. Here you can see me gathering them from my local gasopod. And these things are freaking awesome. With a full inventory and a fully charged propulsion cannon, I was ready to set off for my next kill. Now, reapers are located mostly in 3 areas of the map, that being the Aurora, the mountains, and the dunes. I decided to start with the Aurora since it has the most of them, and it was the closest by my life pod. It certainly felt strange swimming into this part of the map. I normally try to avoid it like the plague, but this time there was no mercy. As always, I froze the first reaper in place, and then I started my new strategy. I dropped gas pods out of my inventory, grabbed them with the propulsion cannon, and shot them right into the reaper. This deals a fair bit more damage than just a slice from the heat blade. I used a few and then went right back to hacking until the creature perished. There's a little kill counter for you at the top right of the screen so you can keep track of where we stand. And then another one fell, and I continued clearing out the crash zone. One by one, the reapers would fall to the same strategy. All of these are luckily located in very shallow places and are very easy to reach. I would usually manage about, 3 to 4 reaper kills before I would have to go back to the life pod to replenish on my supplies. And just like that, the back of the Aurora was clear. It was certainly a strange sensation swimming in this place knowing that there is no danger. It still felt dangerous, though I knew there was nothing lurking back here. So I'm gonna kind of speed you through the rest of these Reaper kills, since a lot of them went about the same way. I went about murdering the Reapers around the Aurora. Here you can see a bit of a glimpse of the back of the Aurora with the fog command, so you see that there truly are no Reapers left. But it did certainly take a while before I landed the final blow, and as you can see, I'm pretty happy about it. And just like that, everything around the Aurora was clear. So right away, I moved into the mountains where I killed my first Reaper by the alien gun. Everything went about just the same as before, though here admittedly the Reapers were a bit deeper, so reaching them was often a bit more challenging. But without much trouble, the last Reaper of the mountains fell, and I moved into the dunes. Reaper after Reaper I slew here. Like I said, most of these kills went about the exact same way. Occasionally a Reaper would get a bite in on me, but carrying around 2 medkits would heal you back to full health, and so it was never too much trouble. And here, after a long while, the final 25th Reaper knew its time was up. Here you can see me surrounding it with gas pods for a bit of a cheeky kill. They all explode, and there he goes. So, here is a quick guide on how to kill a Reaper without a vehicle. Step 1. Approach the creature. Step 2. Once it starts charging at you, shoot slightly to the side of its head. Sometimes when I shot directly on target, the stasis rifle ball would just clip straight through and not stun the Reaper, but when I shot just to the side onto its mandibles, it almost always worked. Then, carefully maneuver around the head, because the Reaper can still bite even when it is suspended in the bubble. And when you're at its side or on its back, just start hacking away. A fully charged stasis rifle bubble could get me around 40 slices with the heat blade before I would need to reapply comfortably. Slice that creature 125 times, and just like that, it's dead. Next up, it was time to recharge. Here you can see me reloading all of my gear, getting some fresh batteries, and it was time to hunt for some ghosts. There are 3 ghost leviathans, accessible easily from the surface on the map, and I chose to start with the ones by the floating island in the Grand Reef. And these guys are tricky. Here you can see the first one just phasing right through all of my stasis rifle shots. Then I managed to trap it, but I was literally unable to figure out where to shoot the stasis rifle ball to consistently stun the thing. Even worse, here you can see me trying to use gas pods, which would just fling away from the beast without actually sticking to it. Whatever is happening with the collision on the Ghost Leviathan is like seriously broken, and I had to find a consistent method for it, because you can see this ain't working. The first Ghost Leviathan was a freaking fight. It kept running away from me since I was not able to consistently stun it, and it took me a whole lot of time before the beast finally died. It went similarly with the one on the other side of the island, though here I was slowly figuring out how to actually shoot the stasis rifle bubble so that the beast would stay stuck. I would do this method where I would always swim to the front, shoot the thing, and then swim back over to the side and apply some damage. Though this was quite slow. These ghosts have 8,000 health, more than Reapers, and so it took way more slashing to bring them down. Soon enough, this one also fell dead, and it was a fairly similar process to the one on the other side of the map. And so there we were. The quote-unquote surface of the map was totally Leviathan free. But of course, we weren't done. As you can see, I made a bit of a checklist, since to get deeper, I would need places to replenish oxygen, and for that, I would need smaller bases. I also made some additional air bladders, not necessarily for surfacing, but to use to replenish some air while down in the depths of the map. And then it was time to build my first base. I swam out and dove deep, looking for the entrance into the Lost River. I found it without much trouble, eating some gel sacks along the way. I carefully navigated around the Ghost Leviathan, looking for a place I had previously picked out on the map. See, there are 3 Ghost Leviathans in the Lost River, and I wanted to build a base in a place that is about the same distance away from all of them, so right around here. This would mean that hopefully, from one base, I'd be able to reach all 3 of them. I went right to the Sea Dragon skeleton, built myself a multi-purpose room, a hatch, a single reinforcement, and a bioreactor, and we were in business. Next on the list was the Ghost Leviathan by the Gargantuan statue. It fell without much trouble, and I still had a fair bit of oxygen left to return. The Ghost Leviathan in the forest went about the same way. This one was actually even easier, since he got stuck on some wood here. And the last Ghost Leviathan actually proved the most difficult. This one is in the part of the river I rarely visit, and it was the furthest away from my base. So it was actually the first one where I had to leave mid-fight to go replenish oxygen. Finally, after 3 trips, it actually fell dead, and so we were done with all Leviathans except the 3 dragons. Here's a quick 101 on how to kill Ghost Leviathans. Step 1, approach the creature. Step 2, when it charges at you, shoot the stasis rifle just a little bit lower than you think. Aiming right around into this region gave me the most success. Move to the side of its head and start slashing, and when it's time to reapply the bubble, aim for this little thing at the front of its head. This gave me like a 95% success rate on the stasis rifle ball actually sticking and not just phasing right through. And then keep slashing until it is done. Now with that in mind, I left my base and I decided to return to the surface. On the way, I collected some blood oil. This would come in very handy. And then I went to the wreck in the bulb zone. Now, if you're curious why, it's because normally in the lava zones, the heat is not a massive problem, since by then you're probably in a prawn suit most of the time. But I won't be, so I need something to protect me from the heat. And that something is the reinforced dive suit. Using the blood oil I had and some diamonds, I quickly crafted the outfit. I thought I looked pretty cool in it. And with a new batch of resources, I made my way right back down into the Lost River and my base there. After stopping by to replenish oxygen, I set off toward the inactive lava zone. Without much trouble, I got into the corridor that leads you right toward the lava castle, and after emerging into the open space, I swam into another place I had picked out previously. By the entrance into the active lava zone, I plopped down a multi-purpose room, a hatch, a bioreactor, and there it was. I had some oxygen. And then it was finally time to battle the dragons. I approached the first beast, shot my stasis rifle at it in full confidence. It was kind of creepy how it kept looking at me. I approached the back of it and started hacking away. Now, this went on for a while, but after some time, I grew a little suspicious. See, the sea dragons only have 5,000 health, same as the reapers. At this point, I'd been hacking for a suspiciously long time. It was only then that it dawned on me. I'm hacking it with the heat blade. This is a sea dragon, a literal fire-breathing creature. And sure enough, the wiki confirms it, the heat blade does no damage to the sea dragons. Excellent. So I quickly apologized for that small disruption, went back into my base, swam all the way back up to the surface, built myself the regular survival knife, swam all the way back down into the lava zone. Yeah, this was a fun portion of this video. And then it was time to fight the dragon again. But I made a small mistake. For whatever reason, the dragon slipped out of my stasis rifle and started swimming through the bottom of the map. And it never came back. In desperation, I went over to the other side of the lava castle and killed the other sea dragon in the area. This one was not too difficult. Of course, I got the scan as well. But yeah, the initial sea dragon was just literally gone. Here you can see me doing entire laps around the lava castle looking for it, but it wasn't there. So instead, I decided to swim down to the active lava zone and face the final dragon that was actually still in my game. Here you can see the full process of me hacking and slashing this creature to death, and before long, there it was, sinking down to the molten floor. I looked for the last dragon. Here you can even see me free camming around to see if I can't catch it outside of the map, but it was just gone. Like, it straight up skipped down, it recognized that all of its brethren had been slaughtered, and so it just left my game. So you know what, I'm gonna call this a success. We have successfully removed, let's say, all hostile leviathans from the world of Subnautica using no vehicles. Now if you want to know how to kill sea dragons, it is actually probably the simplest creature to kill out of the three, just because their hitbox is massive and very forgiving. You can shoot the stasis rifle just about anywhere. Make sure you watch out for their fire breath attack, but yeah, as soon as you shoot them, just move to their side and hack and slash until they die. But that, my friends, brings us to the end of the video. So I want to give you all a massive thank you for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed. I want to give a massive shout out to all of our members: Edge K, Julian, Callum Whaley, Shitsu, E. Michael, Philip Svoboda, MR, Musical Soul, Yusuf Ismail Tatar, OG Burner, Master Ugwe, Silver Soul, Kronos, Sander Weinholz, and Kryenda. Thank you guys so much for the support. With that, I'm gonna wish you all a beautiful start to 2026, and I'll see you legends in whatever next video I make. Bye bye.